Good afternoon and good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and CoffeeStream number 307. And of course, it is Wednesday, which means it's Wednesdays with Skep Day. And before we introduce Skep, I do just want to apologize for my voice because apparently I haven't been sick enough this week or this year, month, whatever. So I'm sick again. So I do apologize for my voice. But how are you, Skep?
I'm doing fine. As I was telling you, I kind of slept late this morning after I got the youngster delivered very early in the morning to her school stuff. I crawled back into bed and missed Trump's speech. One thing I think we should do is we got a pretty healthy chat this morning, so we want to say good morning
Yes.
to Blake and Pirate Pete. Maddie's there, Rolling Bear. I almost said hello to the Nightbot.
Maniac Man.
Gunfight, yeah, Gunny, of course, is there, and it's so cool to see everybody there. Meaning, man, very. But as I was telling Blind Press right before we went on the air, I came back, crawled back into bed, got all nice and warm and so forth, and then woke up half an hour before the stream started. And I haven't, there's always things to do, and I had not caught up on what Trump's response was, other than seeing a couple of headlines saying that Trump is urging restraint and he's not going to war right away. But yeah, you were able to catch some of it.
I was. I
So
missed. I
what?
missed all of 5 minutes. All but 5 minutes. Or no, I missed 5 minutes of
And you caught the
and
rest of it.
caught the rest.
And so what was the gist of it, and what was his mood? I mean,
So he was very serious and
yeah,
very somber.
yeah.
He sounded very stern.
So the sanctions are not going to be huge.
No, he wasn't. He was not his
Ebullient self.
ebullient self. No, he
Yeah,
was very much. He reminded me of a very angry but controlled parent.
yeah. So it was
Like,
kind of, look, motherfucker,
yeah,
that's not cool.
yeah.
Okay.
He was saying first he outlined the reasons for killing Soleimani. Went over the reasons why he did that.
Hmm.
And then he said that Iran struck. He went over what happened yesterday, confirmed there were no American deaths uh, in on the bases.
There were no American deaths. Is that what he said?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Despite the fact that Iranian media has been saying that there are American
Yeah,
casualties,
30 American deaths. Fuck
but
right off.
Trump has confirmed that he has been told that there are no casualties.
Hmm.
And then he said there will be heavy sanctions on Iran, including, he then said, the U.S. is self sufficient for its oil production and energy production. So we won't be buying any more of your oil, Iran. We don't need you.
He said that as, you know,
And he urged the rest. He said the Iran nuclear deal is almost over anyway. So he urged Germany, UK, like
yeah.
all of those countries to, you know,
You're right, Gunfox, by the way.
he urged those countries to kind of disentangle themselves from that deal. And he talked about how the West should strive to create a new nuclear deal
Yeah.
with Iran, and that he also said something that really surprised me, and it was very insightful for Trump. And he said Iran can be a great country, but peace cannot prevail in the Middle East with the current regime. Is what he said.
Yeah.
He said Iran has the potential to be a great country.
Yeah. But they put out something. Gunny was pointing out that they actually said that they killed 80, not 30. That he's right. That they killed 80 of our people. They're not going to be great when they just make up shit like that.
No.
That's something that a bush league third world country,
But I
a
think
dictator.
I think the reason I say it's insightful is he's trying to appeal to their ego. He's not he's trying to say like, look, you guys, you obviously want to be a a power in the world, right?
Hmm.
And you have that, and he's trying to, you know how when you're trying to talk to some screw up of a kid,
Yeah,
and you tell them you have potential, right?
yeah,
That's what he's doing.
yeah,
That's what he's doing right now. He's Iran is the messed up child that he's trying to go, look, son,
yeah.
you have the potential. Don't fuck up.
You can join the Brotherhood of Nations. You've
Yeah,
got the potential, but you're not doing it right now.
yeah. That was basically what he said. And he urged other countries to follow his example in sanctioning
Yeah,
Iran. And he said, we as in the West cannot allow um, a terroristic regime to dictate to us what we're doing. Like, we have to stand in solidarity and say to Iran, listen, we're not going to tolerate this anymore.
yeah. I
So for Trump, it was very restrained.
mhm,
It was very calm. There were no, like, you could tell he was trying very hard
to maintain.
to maintain, like, he was, I don't know if somebody, like, close to him sat him down and was like, okay, Mr. President, um,
It's
please stick
time
to
to
the
be a grown up.
script.
Time to be a
Please,
grown up, Mister
yeah,
President.
please stick to the speech that we've written you, Mr. President. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? It was,
this is where an offhand remark could really have huge consequences. You don't want to do this. Do what the guys at State Department brewed up for you, and probably pass muster with Kellyanne Conway.
and
And
it was really smart because he said he went through. He's like, we have lethal and powerful and accurate missiles at our disposal, and our military is very strong. And then he said, we don't want to use it, right? But we will if we have to, is basically what he was saying. He was saying, right now, we don't want to use it. We don't want to cause a war or have a war.
yeah,
But if you keep this crap up, basically was
yeah,
implied. You know, if you keep this crap up, we're gonna have to.
yeah, you're trying my patience. Don't do that. It doesn't have a good ending.
Yeah.
And by the way, wanted to say, Furry Kitten just joined chat. Says, "Afternoon, fellow wank puffins." That kind of
Hello.
made me laugh. So
Hello.
anyway, uh, it sounds like Trump really came back with a measured and somewhat thoughtful response.
Yes.
The one red flag that comes up with me is not buying Iranian oil is tricky, and here's why. When oil is shipped out of Iran, okay, Iran basically has one refinery that
Yeah.
refines all its oil, most of which is consumed in Iran. Okay, now that's a very interesting situation. Essentially, if you bombed their one refinery, you would cut out about 75 to 80% of their gasoline. And,
Yeah.
and if you blockaded their harbors, you would essentially cut off their supply of gasoline.
Yeah.
They would be reliant on whatever they had stored in the tanks. And when that was gone, that would be it. So if, um, and, all right. saying that you're not going to buy Iranian oil is very tricky.
Yeah.
You can't just say that. What you have to do is you have to stop them from exporting their oil, because once their oil gets out into the world, it gets mixed with other oil.
Yeah.
It goes to many different refineries that go through many different distribution channels before it comes out at our pumps. So you have to stop it very near the source. You basically have to stop it at the water's edge, at Iran. You can't stop it at the edge of our country. At our water's edge. You have to stop it at Iran's water's edge,
Right.
and that's a very tricky thing to do. It's a very difficult thing to blockade a country. We could do it. We absolutely could do it. The problem is that we would be threatening aggression against uh, tankers that are the property of many other countries.
Yes.
Not, I know that they all have Liberian registry, but they belong to other countries. And so if you, and some of whom are allies of ours, okay, particularly, for example, Great Britain
Yeah.
and Greece and other big shipping import export tycoons who live in different parts of the world, we would be offending a bunch of very powerful, very economically devastating people.
Yeah.
And we almost, I don't see how he can enforce that. Is basically what I'm saying. It would be extremely expensive. And
Could he enforce like a ban on directly importing it?
here's what he would have to do: is he would have to say, we, the United States, are now forbidding all you countries from importing oil from Iran. And about half of them would say, fuck off.
Well, I think that's what he was trying to say. Like, I think he was trying, because he didn't say the words, we're not buying our oil from you anymore, right? What he said was, we're self-sufficient, we don't need Iranian oil, and we would urge other countries to consider, like, I think he was trying to say, consider us as an alternative to buy your oil.
Okay.
And I think he in a roundabout way, he was trying to urge the other Western countries not to buy Iranian oil and to consider the U.S. as a substitute.
There's a lot to unpack there, and we could probably make the whole stream about importing, exporting oil, and how all that stuff works.
Which I'm sure would be fascinating.
Yeah, I can lecture for an hour about this kind of stuff, but the upshot is that first of all, we are, saying that we produce and consume about the same amount of oil, which is what it means when we say we're self-sufficient.
Yeah.
We're not really self-sufficient, because the way that we get our oil, the way that oil is distributed internationally, the economic dependencies that exist as a result of the way that the international distribution of oil is set up, would not support us existing on our own oil. We would have to basically restructure all of our oil consumption. We would ruin our economy,
right,
largely in the pursuit of that. So we can't really do that. What we can do is, the federal government can say, if you do business with Iran, we're not buying your oil. Now, that's sort of cutting off your nose to spite your face, because what you have just done is you've just increased the price of the oil that will be sold to you.
Yeah.
So this whole thing, he should basically just leave it as kind of a Trump statement of, I'm pissed, and then say the hell with it and move away from it. That's basically what I would do, and maybe that's what he's doing. But Gunfox correctly says, blind press, Skep, we could, but is it worth it? Yeah, exactly. And the answer to your question, Gunny, and I think you know that is, of
No.
course, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's more, it's just something Trump says. It's just one of those things he says, and then he'll kind of move away from it.
Yeah, it could
So forth.
be like a like a power play.
Yeah,
Like,
and
listen.
high cynical Lindsay,
Yes, hello, Lindsay. Yeah, like
like a
just
power play. Yeah,
saying like, listen, fucker, we don't need you.
right. Just a kind of a power statement.
Yeah,
Fuck off, and then he'll, won't change anything and just kind of move. And everybody will kind of mop their brow with a sigh of relief.
yeah.
Crazy Trump. What else is he going to do? But the
Mr.
uh,
Gorbachev, tear down that wall.
yeah. Um,
Oh, phone call.
oh no, what is that?
Someone wants to talk to Skep.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's actually my nephew, who is my mechanic.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've got a personal story to tell about that when we get to that point. I'll tell the story. Um, it has to do with, I think I told you that the beautiful car that my stepdaughter lent my wife totaled it the other day.
Yes, you did.
And of
I
course,
think you
so
told us on Minions.
yeah, actually, I'll break and tell you the story real quick right now. So so we're down to we're a one car family suddenly.
Oh
Okay, so
boy.
we just have the Rav Four, but the Rav Four has been dependable. It's only got 186,000 miles on it, so and I've kept it up really well. Things are going along well, and of course, as soon as we're a one car family for a week, every warning light in the world in that car comes on. God
Isn't
dang it!
that just the way?
Oh my God! So yeah, and so I take it into my nephew, who is my mechanic. He's a master mechanic, and thank God he's my nephew. He's the guy that I sold my old Toyota Tundra truck to for $100.
Oh wow.
It itself had 200,000 miles on it when I sold it to him, and he just loves that truck. He loves it like I loved it, and I think that's wonderful. It's my great truck, my beloved truck. I actually kissed it goodbye
Aww.
when I sold it to him. So that's a boy in his truck, Texan in his truck. So anyway, uh, Kyle says, "Okay, you're not gonna believe this, but you need a new catalytic converter. You got to have a new O2 sensor and all this other stuff. It's going to be over $1,000." I said, "Really?" I decided to go ahead with the repair, and that was Kyle actually calling me back to tell me he's going to tell me either I do need a full new catalytic converter. It's going to cost like $1,000, or I don't. So, but I'll give him a call back after the stream. I'm sorry about
So
that.
far, it's Schrodinger's car.
Shorty. Well, here's the interesting thing. So he says I don't have welding stuff here at the shop. We don't fabricate here,
Yeah.
but I do have a welding rig at home, and I can weld in a new, because he had to weld in a new thing for the O2 sensor to plug into. And
Right.
he said you can borrow your old truck back and have that to drive while I'll just take your RAV4. It's drivable, and I'll drive it home and weld it and get the new O2 sensor and get that ready to go. So I'm driving my old truck again, and it
Aw.
felt so great. I was just, I was back in back of the truck where that I had put 200,000 miles on, driven all over Colorado and Texas and New Mexico. I mean, it's just, anyway, it's just a personal story of, kind of one of those wonderful things that God grants you, the or the God of trucks or whatever, lets you have this wonderful little time with an old friend.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cool story for that reason. That was him calling. He actually has information for me as to whether or not his scheme to fix the thing is going to work or not. So we'll see.
Lindsay says every time the check engine light comes on in JC's car, I always feel fear it's the catalytic or O2 sensor because it's an old car.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The catalytic converter is It's an expensive thing. It's going to cost you $1,000 to put in a new catalytic
Yup.
converter, and you have to pull the exhaust manifold. There's a lot to it. So anyway, so there we go. A quick change from the Trump and Iran situation to Skep Talk's old truck, and because that's what we do here on the show. We have some breathtaking changes of
We sure do.
subject, and that's just the way it is.
So did you hear Jessica Yaniv is gonna sue another?
No, what?
Yeah, the Toronto Sun put out. It's on their Twitter. I can actually um send you the.
Oh my
Uh,
God! Wait a minute. This is Jessica. The bodacious ball waxer is back. Human Rights Commission frequent flyer and trans slacktivist Jessica Yaniv has another race-fueled complaint regarding waxing. You know Yaniv. She still has the male toolkit and was born a biological male. But she now identifies as female. Nobody else does, but she does. Nobody else would identify her as
she
female.
larps as a female. Should be
Yeah,
the better.
she kind of looks like a land whale. So in 2018, Yaniv approached more than 14 salons in the Vancouver area requesting a Brazilian bikini wax on her balls. All were run by recent immigrants. The procedure is popular with porn stars, and Vox Populi is the waxing of female genital area to remove unwanted hair. Yaniv's reasoning was that she self identified as a woman. She was entitled to the service. Hells yes. So the estheticians refused, citing lack of training in waxing male bits and religious and cultural objections, obviously.
Yeah.
Yaniv wanted an extortionary $15,000 from each salon. During a sham of British Columbia Human Rights Tribunal in July, the grift was exposed and her complaints were kicked to the curb in October. The panel wrote human rights legislation does not require a service provider to wax a type of genitals that they are not trained for and have not consented to wax. It called her complaints improper, and she was ordered to pay $2,000 each to the three estheticians.
Yeah.
The panel also found she had a racist bent against some ethnic groups. She has not coughed up the dough. And the panel cited one of Yaniv's mind boggling outbursts. We, quote, we have a lot of immigrants here who gawk and judge and aren't exactly the cleanest people. They're also verbally and physically abusive. That's one main reason why I joined a girls' gym, because I don't want issues with these people, nor do I want anything to do with them in any way, shape, or form. They lie about shit. They'll do anything to support their own kind and makes things miserable for everyone else.
Yeah, because immigrant women don't go to female-only gyms.
Right, and
Idiot.
they're not. They don't
You
bathe either.
idiot. What the?
So, but in August, the undaunted Yaniv was back in action and filed a new complaint against the She Point Beauty Studio. The salon, not surprisingly, is operated by East Indian women who are Sikhs, perfect targets for Yaniv.
Yep.
Yaniv approached the studio in August 2019 and again requested a Brazilian, but the women refused, claiming their services are for women only. Yaniv then asked for a leg wax. No go. Women have a constitutional right not to be compelled to touch biological males in an intimate or highly personal manner if they are not comfortable doing so. Jay Cameron, the lawyer who acted for five BC estheticians, said in a release, like male genital waxing, our client does not offer male leg waxing services to the public, and we intend to vigorously defend this targeted harassment on behalf of our client. Now, here's what Yaniv is going to say. Yaniv's going to say a leg is a leg. There's no difference between a male and female leg.
But get this, her latest.
Yes.
Pinkalo actually. There's DMs that I think Yaniv released, where she was talking to, I think it was like Jessica Beauty Service or something like that. And she was asking, I'm transgender. Like, she asked if they did Brazilians. She said yes. She goes, I'm transgender. Do you do that? She goes, unfortunately, we don't. However, I know of a place that does both male and female stuff, and they're good. They have a good reputation and good price. Here's the name and address. All
Okay.
right. Yaniv goes, but I am a lady.
Yeah. No, that's no lady.
And now she's going after this salon, even though the salon owner provided her with a salon that would do a wax, but because it wasn't a freaking all female salon, Yaniv is now going after her.
This. Do you, do you see? My crystal ball tells me that there's a bad end waiting for Jessica Yaniv.
I hope. I've never. I don't usually hope for stuff like that because it's bad
She's
karma,
evil.
but
She
this
is
is
evil.
this is ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
there is no like, and it's true. She only goes after newly immigrated people to Canada
Yeah.
with specific religious beliefs.
Yeah. I tend to think. Yeah. She sees. You know. Oh, they're different from me. I want to embarrass them. I want to hurt them. I want
Which
to
is
try to hurt them
ridiculous because
financially.
that's something that actual trans people have been fighting against forever.
Yes. Yeah. No. So. Um. Yeah, the rest of the article just basically says if the hearing goes forward, it will likely take place sometime in 2020.
Yeah.
The the irritating thing to me is she's actually taking, she's costing the public money
She is.
with these foolish suits, and she's so poor she's almost judgment proof. She doesn't have two nickels to rub
No.
together. Um, the uh, there should be just a moment where the government, I know that this would be a terrible idea, but it would be very satisfying if there was a point where we just say, nope, you have been obnoxious enough. We're going to hang you publicly. Just hang her. Just get or hang it or whatever it is, and just get rid of it. Make it stop bleeding, like a crazed goat in front of the cameras. I am just done with Jessica Yaniv. Just
Yeah.
a totally obnoxious, hateful, maladjusted human being.
Yeah.
Um, I I wonder. By the way, Jessica Yaniv. I want is just to see Jessica Yaniv. Um,
If you're
I'm
looking
trying.
on, if
I'm
you're on
trying to.
Twitter,
I want to see if there's a Wikipedia. Yeah, Jessica, you need Wikipedia. Is there a Wikipedia? Um,
I'm surprised if there
no,
isn't.
no, there is not. Believe it or not. Um, I'm looking at Jessica Yaniv's Twitter feed. Here's an interesting thing. Her Twitter picture
Huh.
is not a picture of her.
Oh.
Her Twitter picture is a uh, it if it is, it's altered. I mean, it is a uh, fairly attractive, long-haired brunette, you know, um, who possibly looks vaguely, but not really, kind of an oval face.
Yeah.
Whereas Yaniv has basically, if you just cut out Yaniv's face, I'm just going to tell you this: she she looks like every truck driver you've ever seen. You know,
That's funny.
your imagination of a truck driver. She and then she has this short blonde, obviously dyed, uh, permed hair. In kind of the classic. It's what every little old lady over the age of 70. It's how they do their hair. And they all think they're beautiful.
Yep.
She's a piece of human garbage, And their pin tweet says, "One proud lesbian. I'll never give up fighting for human rights equality." And then it has the land whale picture of her in the purple dress, with so she's it's one of these miracle dresses that stays over the bosom without any straps on, and she's got this kind of white, pallid, hideous skin. Uh, you just, oh god, it's just
Maddie
so
says,
not.
"Hey, don't insult truck drivers like that, Skep."
I know. I hear you. I hear you. Um, and uh, she gets mad because people are the insult. The current insult is to call her Mr. Jessica,
That's funny.
and and that's my new name for her, Mr. Jessica.
Mr. Jessica, no.
Well, yeah, the UG at WestJet agent calling me Mr. Jessica on the phone. Really, not how you want to treat transgender customers or any customer. People know who she is, and they're just they're laughing at her or showing their contempt for her.
Yeah.
She's just you know
So I don't know if you heard about this either. Let me just jump over to the correct tab. Not that tab. That tab. So there was a crash in Iran today, or last night, our time.
Are you talking about the 737?
Yeah.
That was a dash. I think it was a dash 800. It was not a Max.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
It was that 737-800.
It was a Ukrainian
but it just
plane.
doesn't help Boeing at all.
No, none of this does. But unfortunately, airplanes crash, and
They do.
A Ukrainian plane. It's not hard for me to imagine that a Ukrainian plane was poorly maintained enough to fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys take tremendous maintenance shortcuts to, save money, and they fly in planes that are unsafe, pretty routinely.
But there were about 60. There were 63 Canadians on board.
What?
Yeah. 30 of them are from Edmonton, I believe, or Alberta. So just about half of them are from Alberta.
I saw the video of it going down, and you basically see it's on fire in the sky, and don't know what the fire was from.
No.
But you see the flames in the sky, and then you see it plummet to earth, and then you see the gigantic, explosion when it hits the earth. I was just going to
Iran says it's not going to give the black boxes to the U.S. apparently.
Yeah. A Ukrainian airplane carrying 176 passengers and crew crashed shortly after takeoff from Tehran's airport Wednesday morning, killing all on board. The Ukrainian International Airlines flight, bound for the country's capital of Kyiv, plunged from the sky just minutes after departing from Imam Khomeini International Airport, of course. According to Iran's state-run IRNA news agency, the crash came hours after Iran launched a barrage of ballistic missiles on Iraqi bases housing American and coalition soldiers. I don't know that those were ballistic missiles. I heard they were rockets. Rockets are not ballistic missiles.
No.
Ballistic missiles go out of the atmosphere and go thousands of miles. I think these were pretty common rockets, but maybe they were, IRBMs, intermediate range ballistic missiles. Anyway, Iranian officials said they suspect a mechanical issue brought down the Boeing 737-800 aircraft. Ukrainian officials initially agreed, but later backed away and declined to offer a cause while the investigation is ongoing. Then it's people saying, I heard a big explosion. and houses were shaking. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Um, and let's see. I mean, one thing about it's a big debris free field, and a lot of small debris indicates to me that it was going pretty fast when it hit the earth. It
Yeah.
was probably guy was on full power trying to keep the thing in the air, trying to get lift, and
Yeah.
I don't know why it came out, but um, and
Apparently, we Canada are demanding Iran release the black boxes
yes,
to the states.
yeah, all 100, yeah, body parts lying everywhere in the debris field. All 167 passengers and 9 crew members from different nations on board the plane perished. Both Iranian and Ukrainian officials said the nationalities of those dead, according to the Ukraine Foreign Minister Vadim Pristalka, unpronounceable, were as followed: 82 Iranians, 63 Canadians, 63, and 11 Ukrainians, 9 of which were crew members, 10 Swedes, 4 Afghan, 3 German, and 3 British. Qassem Bianez, a spokesman for Iran's Road and Transportation Ministry, said, "One of the plane's engine caught on fire, causing the pilot to lose control of the aircraft." It also appeared that the pilot couldn't communicate with air traffic controls in Tehran in the last moments of the flight, added Hassan, unpronounceable, the head of Iran's Aircraft Investigation Committee. Ukraine President unpronounceable office said his office offered sincere condolences to family and loved ones, blah blah blah, usual kind of thing. He also cut his visit to Oman short and was returning to Kyiv after the accident. We're preparing a group of specialists in order to help the search operation and the investigation of the cause of the crash. The search, they found it. They know
Good,
what it is.
good girl, Betty. Put yourself in the corner. She, after you listed all the countries, she goes, and a partridge in a pear tree. Puts
Maddie,
myself in corner.
show yourself out. So anyway, the plane had been delayed from taking off from Imam Khomeini International Airport by almost an hour. It took off to the west, but never made it above 8,000 feet in the air, according to data from flight tracking website Flight Radar 24. Staff at impossible to pronounce airport in Kiev, where the plane was headed, told Associated Press that passengers on this flight are usually Iranian students coming back to Ukraine after the winter holidays. That makes me sad. The Iranian student news agency shared a video online that claimed to show the plane catch fire as it descended. The video has not independently confirmed. That's the one that I saw, by the way.
Yeah.
And uh, the impossible to pronounce, an Iranian emergency official told state TV that rescuers are now trying to collect the dead, and there evidently are just a tremendous number of body parts just scattered all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it probably hit pretty hard. Um, Associated Press journalists who reached the crash site saw a wide field of debris scattered across farmland, the dead lying among shattered pieces of the aircraft. Their possessions: a child cartoon covered electric toothbrush, a stuffed animal, luggage, and electronics stretched everywhere. Rescuers in masks shouted over the noise of hovering helicopters as they worked. The only thing that the pilot managed to do was steer the plane toward a soccer field near here because of a residential area back there. It
Oh.
crashed near the field and water canal. Ukraine International Airlines announced it has indefinitely suspended flights to Tehran following the crash. It was one of the best planes we had with an amazing, reliable crew, said unpronounceable president of the Ukraine International Airlines, said at a briefing. In a statement to Fox News, Boeing said, "We are aware of media reports out of Iran. We're gathering information." It's essentially nothing. And then it talks about what the 800 is. It's, you know, um, and that it is not a Max. It's not a 737 Max. Uh, and then it goes into the safety record of that model. It talks about hours before the plane went down, Iran fired as many as 15 ballistic missiles. They keep saying ballistic missiles. I guess it's possible Ballistic
Yeah.
missiles are expensive.
Yeah, they are. Well, that was the other thing Trump said in his statement was the missiles used in the attack were purchased with funds from the previous administration. He directly called out Obama.
Oh man. Okay,
He
so
was like, "Listen,
Obama funded
the
this.
reason that this happened was cuz Obama gave them cash money." Is basically what he said, and I'm like, "God damn." You are not pulling any punches, Mr. President.
Zounds. All right. Yeah, it said that 10 missiles hit the uh, Al Assad air base, one missile hit a military base in Erbil, and four missiles failed to hit their targets, according to U.S. military spokesman for Central Command, responsible for American forces in the Middle East. The attacks unfolded in two waves, each about an hour apart. Initial assessments showed no U.S. casualties, the U.S. military official in Baghdad told Fox News. And that, as they say, is that. Yeah. And then the comments are all, yeah, Obama funded this, you know.
Yeah.
So it's, instantly um, turns to the missile attack. But, and then there's pictures of them stacking the dead, basically.
Yeah.
They're the pieces, the chunks of people. It's just, you know, the the only thing that's good about dying in a plane crash like that is you generally are traumatically injured so fast you're not even aware the nerve impulses that sense even just the motion of the thing that is going to kill you, you impact so many G's so fast,
Yeah.
your brain is torn apart before the nerve impulses get from your peripheral nervous system to your central nervous system. So it's the effect of you're in the plane, you're in the plane, you're feeling the fast descent, and all of a sudden St. Peter appears
Yeah.
right there, and you just go, "What happened? Oh, you're dead." I didn't feel anything. No, you literally don't feel anything in a plane crash like that. That's
See,
the mercy of it.
every time I hear about stuff like this, I have never flown in a plane.
Nuh-uh.
And
Is
I
that true?
that is very true. I have never flown.
Do you have a
I've
fear
never
of flying?
um
I
I
mean, is
don't
it a
think
real
so.
phobia or
I think it's the airplane that I'm afraid of because I've gone
well,
up in a
that
hot
is
air
what kills
balloon.
you.
I've gone up in a hot air balloon and that was really fun.
Okay,
Um
you definitely don't have a fear of flying. If
no,
you've been
I
up in a
don't.
hot air balloon, you're fine.
It's the fact of just I'm in this pressurized
Aluminum tube
aluminum
going almost
tube
Mach 1.
going, yeah, it just the thought of there are so many things that require the plane to plane
Yeah.
that could go wrong
Yes.
and you're done.
Largely. Yeah.
um
You're
that's
not
what
wrong.
freaks me out about airplanes
Yeah.
is just there are so many mechanical things that require the plane to work,
Yes.
and I've just my mistake was I also used to watch this show on Discovery called Mayday,
Mm-hmm.
where it talked about all the famous, like each episode was a famous airplane crash,
Oh,
and they first they play out they reenact the scenario,
yeah.
and then they go through the NTSB investigation.
Ah.
That used to be a show Pink Hollow and I used to watch when we had cable. And I just would watch this and go, I just have no desire to fly in an airplane.
Yeah.
I just really don't.
What if uh, it can give you a false sense of security to fly in an airplane over and over again, and I kind of probably have this myself. I mean, I've flown many hundreds of thousands of miles. I've probably flown over 1 million miles in my life. I've flown a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had jobs where I flew 3 times a week. I mean, it's uh, and you become accustomed to planes taking off and landing. And the only time I was ever in, I had two unusual things happen to me. One time landing in Tallahassee, we were uh, getting close to the airport, and all of a sudden we sharply banked to one side,
Oh.
and the pilots, recovered, and then they came on a few minutes later and said, "Okay, folks, we're going to come in uh, to land a little bit faster than usual. You'll notice our speed is a little bit high because we cannot lower our flaps.
Oh
This is
dear.
something we train for. It's not a big deal." And and then when we landed, you could tell we were going way faster than we normally did. I mean, people who are attuned to that, basically how fast. And this was in a 737, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a 737-400, as a matter of fact.
Ah.
And it came in, and we came in hot, but he landed successfully, and the whole cabin applauded when he landed. So that was kind of wonderful. Then there another time we had uh, the other unusual thing was coming into DIA, Denver International. uh, we were coming in to in our landing descent, and suddenly full power, and we're going around. He said, and the captain came on and said, we're going to go around because there was a guy on the runway, and he probably would have made it off. I probably could have landed the plane safely, but it's better not to take a chance. And we all agreed.
Yes.
That's a great idea. Let's not take a chance. Let's go around. And we went around and just landed normally. But except for those things, you expect, and in those moments, I became very aware of how blasé I had become about airplane takeoffs and landing.
Yeah.
You really are going 570 miles an hour in a pressurized aluminum tube that has all the structural integrity of a piece of aluminum foil. Basically, it speeds like that.
And you are really, really high in the
Yes,
air.
yeah, and 100 feet's enough to kill you.
Oh yeah.
50 feet's enough to kill you. And you're a mile up in the air, or 2 miles up in the air, 3 miles, 4 or 5. Yeah, it's so bad things can happen, and you become you reacquaint yourself with that possibility when something unusual and untoward like that happens. And so that was yeah, that was something that happened. And it those things scare you, and then you go back to being blasé about it. You go back to, I don't care.
I don't.
It's
Yeah, I don't have
scary.
a fear of heights or flying. It because I the cool thing about the hot air balloon was my uncle and I used to take turns when I was little, uh, telling each other stories he made up. When I was a baby, he made up stories about me and a little bird that could talk called Yo Yo, and we would go on adventures in a hot air balloon.
Oh.
And then when I got older, I started like we would take turns
Hmm.
telling each other the stories. We would call them yo-yo stories.
How
And when
wonderful.
I was 13, for my birthday, my uncle bought us tickets to go on a hot air balloon ride.
That rocks.
So, and I actually got to stick my hand in a cloud. That was pretty cool.
Hmm.
It
Could
was
you
very
feel the
wet.
moisture?
It was
Yeah,
very wet. Yes.
yeah. That's the I've skydived through a cloud, been under
Oh wow.
canopy inside a cloud, and you can't see your hand. You think fog, you can't see your hand in front of your face practically. There's
That's crazy.
and it is. And the other thing I noticed was all the metal fittings on my jump harness were immediately covered in
Yeah.
condensed water. It was just it is. It's a wet experience. This
And
getting
it's
on the ship.
crazy how like because we did this in Ottawa, so
Uh
it's a
huh.
busy city, right?
Yep.
You're at ground level, you can hear traffic all the time. We go up and it was so quiet because we did it at like at sunset,
Yes.
and you go up above where like birds just don't fly, like many birds don't fly, right? And
Yeah.
it's
You.
just
Yeah.
so quiet, and
Yep.
it's eerie. It's really eerie. You're like, I'm really high up in the air right now.
Yeah. It's cool.
It was amazing. It
Yeah.
was absolutely amazing.
That's kind of I think it's wonderful that you got to have that experience. I would love to go up. I would love to go up in a hot air balloon. It's one thing that it's an experience that has eluded me for some reason. I've just never gotten a chance to do that, and that would be so cool. It's awesome that you got to do that.
So, our
Anyway,
Supreme Court has decided that anybody, I don't know if you know what a Métis is.
a Métis, like
Yeah.
Ahoy Métis.
No,
Okay,
no. It's
because I know
spelled
what that is.
Metis.
Yes.
Métis. It's you're part French, part native.
Oh,
Is
okay,
um
gotcha.
so the Supreme Court of Canada has just ruled that Métis and non-status Indians can have the same rights as First Nations and Inuit people.
Is that a big deal?
Yeah, because you used to be able to have to prove that you had a certain amount of native blood before you
Since
could apply for government assistance, right?
right,
Um,
so this is going to open that up for
so
people.
now, yeah, now anybody who is Métis or uh, a non-status Indian who does not live on the reservations can get the same uh, right can access the same things that people on the reservations get.
Lovely. This is a good thing because
I don't know.
potato.
So I made the joke because it's thought that there's some native blood on my grandmother's side because
Hmm.
they're from Quebec, and there's a lot of interbreeding between French and
Oh,
native.
like rabbits.
Um, so and it's like a 30-second, or it's like a 16th or a 30-second, like that I would have, right?
Right.
But
Not
I'm like,
large.
so does this mean I get to say that I'm a native? Like, like non-status Indians, like,
Well, yeah, this
like,
is going to open it up for what and what about the trans Indian?
oh,
People who identify as Indians who have no native blood. Why shouldn't they why are they being discriminated against? That's what I would like to know. I think that's a fair question.
yeah,
I mean, trans Indians should have just the same rights as native born. I mean, why can't you identify as an Indian and
yeah.
choose to live as a gay Indian man?
And Pink Hollow says, uh, subsidies, taxes, reserves, all that fun stuff, plus a special card or a little card that says you're part of a special club. And a difference of 20 cents a liter in gas. Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah. Do you get a decoder ring also for secret messages or no? You know, like if you get invited
Almost.
to a powwow.
All you need says, I know of a few people who would jump on that. Yeah.
Golly, it's just as soon as you um open Pandora's box of goodies for, you know, the marginalized. As soon as you declare someone as being uh, worthy of being treated differently than other people, it's it's just hell to pay, isn't it?
Yep.
Makes me sad for our world. The world is a little
Yeah. It's
stranger and cheaper and
I saw
disgusting.
this article this morning and I'm like, what the fuck? Why?
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Anyway, it's just it's all part of the spoils system that that basically the um, good-hearted, well-meaning liberals have opened up in the world, and
Yep.
now it's here to stay. It's here. Well done, guys. You did
They're
this.
here.
Yeah. And there's just not a thing you can do to make it better. Anyway, it's, life is weird.
Speaking of weird,
Yes.
our sciencey article for the day
Yes.
is a repeating fast radio burst source localized to a nearby spiral galaxy,
Ah.
which I think is pretty cool. Um, so it's talking about FRBs, frequent radio bursts. Safari, could you please behave, please? Thank you.
Let's see. Is this the fast radio bursts? Are brief, bright, extragalactic radio flashes? Their physical origin remains unknown, but dozens of possible models have been postulated. Some FRB sources exhibit repeat bursts, although over 100 FRB sources have been discovered, only 4 have been localized and associated with a host galaxy. So
Huh.
that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Frequent radio bursters. And it says here we report the precise localization of a second repeating FRB source. It's a massive spiral galaxy whose properties and proximity distinguish it from all known hosts.
Huh.
The lack of both a comparably luminous persistent radio counterpart and a high Faraday rotation measure further distinguish the local environment of the star from that of the single previously located FRB source. This is actually the technical.
Yeah.
Uh, so this is. I'm going to go back and see if we can
I
find.
think the one I have is from nature.com.
Yeah, that's actually was the Nature article 2 days
Oh, okay.
ago. A repeating fast radio. Yeah, that is actually this one. I'm trying to get to like an executive summary of it.
One that speaks English.
Yeah, that doesn't talk about Faraday rotation measures and stuff like that. But that's the data sets generated from blah 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 codes blah 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 blah. No, it's this is a
Green
very
Badger.
it's just a very technical article. That's just what it is.
Green Badger says, "Here's hoping the bursts don't say resistance is futile."
Yeah, yeah, and then the end notes and the acknowledgments are 90% of the text in this.
Oh, that's annoying.
So I read you most of the. Let's see
Well,
if we
that's
can find
aggravating.
something. Yeah, let me see if I can find something about it in um all right, here's fat all right, fast radio burst tracked to nearby galaxy. This is from McGill University. Astronomers have pinpointed the location of a repeating fast radio burst. The breakthrough is only the second time that scientists have determined the precise location of a repeating source of these millisecond bursts of radio waves from space. Astronomers in Europe, working with members of Canada's CHIME fast radio burst collaboration have pinpointed the location of repeating host radio burst (FRB), first detected by CHIME telescope in British Columbia in 2018. The breakthrough is only the second time that scientists have determined the precise location of a repeating source of these millisecond bursts of radio waves from space. Results published in the January 9th edition of Nature, the European network, the EVN VLBI network used 8 telescopes spanning locations from the United Kingdom and to China to simultaneously observe the repeating radio burst known as FRB. Lots of numbers, lots of numbers.
Yeah.
Using a technique known as very long baseline interferometry, the researchers have achieved a level of resolution high enough to localize the FRB to a region approximately 7 light years across,
Oh,
a
wow.
feat comparable to an individual on Earth being able to distinguish a person standing on the moon.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, with that level of precision, the research team was able to train an optical telescope onto the location to learn more about the environment from which the burst emanated. What they found has added a new chapter to the mystery surrounding the origins of FRBs, which is interesting. Um, we used, sorry, hang on one second. We used the 8-meter Gemini North telescope in Hawaii to take sensitive images that showed the faint spiral arms of a Milky Way like galaxy and showed the FRB source was in a star forming region of one of those arms, said co author, impossible to pronounce, a former McGill University postdoctoral researcher who co led the optical imaging and spectroscopic analyses of the FRB location. This is a very different environment for a repeating FRB compared to the dwarf galaxy in which the first repeating FRB was discovered to reside. So they're basically saying that this star nursery is a really different place for these fast radio bursters to be in. Right, exactly.
Cool.
The discovery lined up with a number of areas CHIME researchers had put forward following their initial detection of the burst in 2018. The FRB is among the closest yet seen, and we even speculated that it could be a more conventional object in the outskirts of our own galaxy, said co author, impossible to pronounce, a McGill University doctoral student and CHIME team member. However, the EVN observation proved that it's in a relatively nearby galaxy, making it still a puzzling FRB, but close enough now to study using many other telescopes. So
that's pretty cool.
Then it goes into a background of CHIME, and all that kind of stuff. And how they all worked closely together, and kind of how they put it together. This was done by putting together data from a whole bunch of different telescopes, observing the thing at the same time.
See, we could cooperate if we want to.
If astronomers can do it, why can't politicians?
Astronomers can get pretty nasty with each other.
They're like, they're terribly
astronomers, physicists.
Yeah, they all want credit for this and that, and they can get pretty pissy. They frequently show the fact that sometimes they're emotionally not very mature, and most geniuses don't get along well in the real world. I mean, famously, Isaac Newton, didn't have any friends, and most
except
people,
for Edmund Halley.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people he respected, as much as he respected himself.
Well, and Halley kind of kissed his ass a bit, so.
Yeah. They like people to worship them.
Yeah.
And that's a model I've seen again and again, and but there you go. That's kind of an interesting. So.
I think I'm gonna have to end it a bit earlier than usual because.
You just running out of gas.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But my friends,
let's run through chat just real briefly,
let's
and see what people are saying. Costin is here. Hey, buddy. And Green Badger is here. I notice, and of course, Pink Pimple,
Cooperation is
appreciate that.
evil.
Doctor No, and All You Need. So we've got really quite a few different people. Seamus is there, and uh, glad to see you. All You Need. Very glad to see you. But Furry Kitten was saying, I used to work air logistic for Africa. I used to fly multiple times a day, a week. I used to commute from Belgium to London daily.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
that's kind of interesting. Um, Furry Kitten, where did you live in Belgium? I'm curious as to where you lived, because I lived in Waterloo growing up. So if you know where that is, it's just south of Brussels, a few miles south of Brussels. Just be curious as to where you lived, and it's nice to see everybody here. Yeah, Green Badger saying, "Here's hoping the burst doesn't say resistance is futile."
Yeah.
Of all the villains, of all the scary stuff in any part of Trek, the Borg is the scariest,
Yep.
by far. You know, uh, you think of all the different, the Romulans, the
Hey, maybe that
Cardassians.
should be our next topic on the Star Trek stream. After we do the favorites,
Yeah, of it,
maybe we should
investigation
do
of the
the
Borg.
villains of Trek.
Oh, the villains of Trek. Yeah, who was the scariest villain, and why did
Yeah.
you think they were, and just maybe open it up to all the different
Yeah.
series. And yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea, Blind.
Yeah, after we do our favorites, we should do the
The
villains
Villain
of Trek.
Quest,
Yes.
Villain Quest, and we can the Klingons. Doctor No's talking about. Yeah, that's go with a
The,
classic.
the
And
Romulans, the
of course, the Klingons are a
debris.
mixed bag. Thanks to Worf. So
Yeah.
and the yeah, as far as who you would want for an enemy, I think one of the worst ones would be not a villain, but the Vulcans. The Vulcans would make terrible enemies. Uh,
Yeah, they'd be boring as hell.
oh yeah, yeah, we're wiping you out because it's logical. So, of course, how do you piss them off? You know, I think you would just have to represent a
Just
threat to them.
just do what Tom and Harry do to Tuvok.
Yeah,
Keep changing the monks in his holodeck temples and
right.
making the computer respond live long and prosper to him whenever he tries to do anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, and
Oh,
by the way, the Klingons changed appearances as a result of an experiment that went awry to
yeah.
enhance them, and with DNA.
They choose not to speak of it.
They choose not to speak of it. Uh,
We don't speak of it.
and I wouldn't either.
No.
So Irish Rose is there, by the way. I didn't say hello to Irish
Oh,
Rose,
hello,
actually.
Irish Rose.
And so anyway, great, great to see everybody today. Um, yeah, so let's see what happens. It's going to be unusual to see. Um, you're doing Coffee Stream now on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I'm doing a call in day this week because I had to cancel last week's call in day.
I'm glad you're doing that. I thought that was too bad you had to cancel last week, and let's have a good call in day this week. And you're also doing Tuesday videos.
I am. If you guys didn't see it yesterday, there's a video up. It's the first video in my Reddit blind series, and it's called r/blind identifying the blind. So
Yeah, I saw that, liked and shared it, and
thank you.
I would urge everyone to go and do the same. Like, share, subscribe, help Blind Press out if you can. This is a terrific little channel, and we would like to see it get bigger, quite frankly. And come and join us. Tell your friends. That's about all I have today.
Me too. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Sounds good. Rest easy, and finish getting well.
I will.
I don't think you're sick again. I think you're just not finished getting well.
Yeah, probably not.
So I think this will improve.
Well, my friends, that is all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to stop by the Minions of the Zoo channel to see more of Skep Talk and I tomorrow night on Prospero's night.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, Call-In Day on Friday and Star Trek Stream on Saturday. And it's Irate's turn for his favorites, and I need to bug him for his other two. So
Yeah, we need to get his other two favorites. So,
yeah.
All right.
So thank you all for watching, my friends, and I will see you on Friday for another coffee stream. Have a great one, everybody.
Bye, everybody.